In the olden days of tower defenses, there was Rampart, StarCraft, then Balloons, and then the creme de la creme, Warcraft 3.
First Blood.
The genre exploded out of proportion into a realm of passion where ordinary people turned into talented creators and sadists. Tower defenses these days don't pull me anymore, and I can't really say why. Maybe it's because of the million mechanics you have to understand and books you have to read before you play the game itself. It could also be the severe lack of player engagement. Slap a tower down, drink a pina colada, and step away from the keyboard. Eventually, the gods of tower defenses came together to forge one game so delightfully remarkable from the peaks of Mount Olympus that it became Michelangelo's magnum opus, the apotheosis of tower defenses, Thronefall. Thronefall is a title that is so criminally under the radar, I just had to give it some spotlight for the sake of expediting its greatness. It's the one tower defense strategy game that's held my attention and kept me invested for hours, and that's saying a lot since I'm not a fan of the genre. Big things come in small packages, and Thronefall proves that it isn't the size that matters, but the skill of the sailor. If you know, you know. Thronefall is a tower defense game that is reminiscent of the old Warcraft 3 days, back when Blizzard actually gave a shit about quality control. This game unlocked a core memory for me after several hours of gameplay. From the satisfying elements of building various towers, managing economical buildings for more resources, to defending land with your hero and soloing hordes of enemies until you thrive and prosper. Combining different strengths from everything you use until your base becomes a synergistic wonderland is downright satisfying. Christmas came early this year, and Thronefall recreates the nostalgia I partook from the Warcraft 3 era into a more modern scene, filled with simplicity.
Okay, this is art.
Oh.
Cooking is art, and the shit I cook is the bomb, so don't be telling me.
Regardless of this title being early access as of this video's date, I find that Thronefall is more than capable of holding its own in a weight class so dominated by more prominent titles like Balloons, Kingdom Rush, and Plants vs. Zombies. In this video, I'm going to talk about what exactly makes Thronefall so addictive and delightful. This game respects your time and skips to the fun, making you feel good about yourself while doing so. It's like going back to that one restaurant you go to for some good-ass slop, but you know you won't tell your family. Simply put, Thronefall is addictive because of how accessible it is. Anyone can pick this game up from the get-go and understand what to do immediately. Your grandma can play it, a monkey from the zoo can play it, and you can bet your ass you'll know how to play in 5 minutes. It's a game where the learning curve is non-existent until you start throwing in challenges and modifiers that make runs more difficult.
I'm in danger!
The player can take things slow for a while until they decide to speed things up. The experience is equivalent to the first time I played Slay the Spire. It kept me playing for hours on end, and I was utterly enthralled by its design. Every week I'd wait for patch notes, an update, and any form of news until it got rid of my fix. I was genuinely interested in Slay the Spire's creation up until the eventual release, and I gotta say, it was fully worth supporting. Thronefall is definitely the same way in regards to waiting on a weekly basis, begging for more content. It'll be exciting to see where the game goes next. The variety of playstyles and builds you can create is a big win for me. The sheer variety of perks you can access, as well as weapons and curses, create an endless loop of interesting and often goofy runs. You can start with a hard focus on economy and solely rely on your hero and capital, or you can set up early defenses with infantry and towers. You can even opt for solely defending via towers and your hero.
Yes. Let's fucking go, dude.
The big part of this game are the bonus levels, which are replayable levels that have specific stipulations. One map requires you to only use infantry, another may require you to only defend with your king, and another map can only be beaten by using just towers. There's even a survival mode if you feel like playing a roguelike version of the game, which is definitely where I spent most of my hours. Overall, it makes what could have been a bland experience into an ever-changing one with various styles of play, and I'm one to get bored easily. It's so simple to pop in a map and just play, and that's the main selling point I want to reiterate. Thronefall slaps. In general, the player has immediate agency on how they want to play, and fixing mistakes is relatively fast and painless. I will attest that the game is fairly difficult, based on bonus levels and how you can effectively earn more points through cursing particular runs. Believe you me, the game has plenty of challenges for the more savvy strategy player. Maps change how you play, as some contain specific buildings and offset the terrain verticality. No map is made equal or similar, as each contains their own difficulties and advantages. Some maps allow you to have heavier economy and focus on close defenses. Other maps are heavily vertical and force you to utilize ranged defenses. The abundance of well-crafted maps adds to an already thought-provoking package, and I've gotta say, it's a nice package. Now, I've said a lot of good things about Thronefall. Hell, it might as well do your taxes, dry clean your laundry, and take care of the kids at this point. But John, is there anything wrong with the game? Certainly. My main complaint is controlling units. Sometimes they just don't do what you want them to. I want my archers to focus fire flying enemies, but instead they hit tanky units or a siege machine. The keybind for controlling units is especially awkward, and I kind of wish commanding specific units was a bit less frustrating. There will be times where I need a couple of infantry units in range, but it can be crowded, and controlling your units is a bit of a pain. I wish the developer took a note from RTS games, because if I could just mouse over and click what I wanted, it'd be significantly easier. Another complaint I have is there aren't maps that utilize every building type. You'll have one map that can create shrines, but then those shrines aren't available on any other map. Other maps exclude hero units as well, which is a bummer. Certain maps also exclude a blacksmith that enable your troops to be tankier and do more damage. It's a bit frustrating that there is a lack of consistency in that maps won't enable particular buildings you may have wished to see. This removes elements of scaling and changes what maps could use, but at the same time I can understand why it's like that in terms of design. Keep it simple, no clutter, and dumb it down is probably the assignment. If the player has too many options, they could easily get overwhelmed, and I can see that happening. Finally, I feel that Thronefall needs more variety in towers, units, and buildings. I feel that the overall design on the heroes is a bit lackluster, and it could use some work. Maybe they'll incorporate races that completely change the flow of what you're used to and keep you engaged. I can see a race of elves, orcs, dwarves, and machines that would certainly change the game significantly and further add replayability. Of course, it is in early access, but my god. Just thinking about what the game can be is left to anyone's imagination. Overall, I keep coming back to Thronefall from time to time, like a drug addict in need of that sweet, sweet tower craving, and my god, it's just so... The crisp design, the solid music, and the overall feel of everything coming together is fantastic. I can just start a game and immediately get into it. The amount of potential I see in Thronefall is endless in retrospect, and I hope it works out. At the end of the day, Thronefall towers over every other defense strategy game in its accessibility, fair difficulty ramping, and heart of gold. I find myself constantly adding curses, trying new builds, and surviving brutal bonus levels. It's just one of those games that had a lot of thought put into it and was executed beautifully. I'm pleasantly surprised to find another delightful game that focuses on all of its elements well. Again, I'm not a dedicated fan of tower defenses, but I found myself sucked in like Matt Stoney at a hot dog competition. It's a game that shows you that you don't need to overcomplicate an already simple formula in order to make a solid game. I think that about wraps up this review. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and feel free to subscribe. I want to thank Tachi for gifting me this game. If it weren't for him, I would have never found Thronefall. There will be videos every week. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a comment and tell me what you want to see in the next video. And as always, see you around.